Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov chess channel, and welcome to the Tata Steel Masters tournament in 2020 in Wijk, Netherlands. So let's go back to the round two. Today, I think great games were played. Among them, also this game that I wanted to show you today. It was Jeffery Xiong against JOrden van Foreest. This game I'm showing you because it had, I think, great strategic elements and also great opening preparation by Jeffery Xiong, and it's this opening preparation in the so-called Maroczy bind. The Maroczy bind is this setup that I've already prepared here for you. Don't be irritated by this position. It wasn't played in the game, but I wanted to show you something. I think it's very important in order to get a better understanding of this Maroczy bind that Jeffery Xiong has played here. So here is a common setup in the Maroczy bind that you can play. The problem for white is always this light square bishop. Here is this important thing that I wanted to point you out. And in some occasions of the Maroczy bind, white has, of course, here always this central control with his pawns, with his centralized knight, with his bishop, with his queen. So white is building really this powerful setup, and then maybe try slowly something like h3, f4, e5, f5, and similar ideas. But there is this problem if we go back, if we go even a little bit further in the position, there is always this problem about this light square bishop. So by trading off dark square bishops in this particular position in the opening, I think black can compete in this position because after queen to d4 we have a very powerful knight on c5 and similar ideas. So this could be a common position from black's perspective, which is playable, and you see white is always continuing the game with this weak light square bishop. So this is the problem of the Maroczy bind from white's perspective. So white would love to maybe get some kind of a position like this, if to get rid of this light square bishop somehow and still build this Maroczy bind anyway somehow, but leaving the dark square bishops on the board, because the dark square bishop of whites is also a powerful piece. So by somehow trading off the light square bishop, I think white has a favorable game because white has this space advantage. White has the powerful central control, which is very important, and black would have to try something like a6 in b5 in order to crack the position. This is very important that I showed you now, because something like this will happen in the game between Jeffery Xiong and JOrden van Foreest. Let's see the game. In the game e4 played by Jeffery Xiong, here we have c5, knight to f3, and now after d6 we have the Kanal Sokolsky attack here with bishop to b5. And now JOrden van Foreest played the move bishop to d7, and for those who have maybe troubles in this particular line, I think this game by Jeffery Xiong is really an instructive one. After bishop takes d7, queen to d7, now you see Jeffery Xiong is building this Maroczy bind anyway with the move c4. Now the main idea is to play, of course, d4. Pardon me. If e5, it leads, I think, into a simplified variation in which white has the advantage, because after something like d3 we have a much more better dark square bishop, because it has a good diagonal. On the other hand, black would have this blocked out dark square bishop. It would be blocked out by its own pawn, so you don't want to have this central pawns on the same squares like your bishop is aiming. So that's why here after the move c4, e5 is okay, is playable, but from the strategical point of view, I think it's not good. So after knight to f6, knight to c3 was played, g6, and now Jeffery Xiong plays the move d4, c takes d4, and now knight to d4, and voila! Look at this position now. We have now an improved Maroczy bind variation. I really like it. This setup. We don't have any more this light square bishop, as I said. We don't have the weak bishop on e2, which is blocked out by these two central pawns. Of course, in some occasions you will also continue with the move f3, so you wouldn't have these problems, the strategical problems. And now all of these pieces, I think, are on natural squares, so that's why here I really love this opening preparation by Jeffery. So bishop to g7, f3, castling, bishop to e3. Now the next moves come really natural to you. After knight to c6, castling, and now a6. As I said, black is always trying in these particular positions to crack the position with the move b5. This outpost that I've showed you in the beginning of this video on c5 with the knight on c5 is only possible if we trade off the dark bishops, then this knight on c5 cannot be attacked by any minor piece except the knight on c3. So these are really deep strategical elements. I've analyzed this Maroczy bind many times, and I had, I think, good success in it also with black. So that's why here a6 I play basically a different line of the Sicilian. I play the hyper accelerated ranked Sicilian defense, so I'm not going into this bishop on b5 lines like Jeffery Xiong, who had the opportunity to play against JOrden van Foreest here. So after queen to d3, we have rook to c8. Now b3, you see again an improvement of the position. Simply b3, rook from a to c1, and maybe rook from f to d1 are the main ideas. Really getting our rooks on the best files. b5 was played by JOrden van Foreest, and it's now a really aggressive way. There is a reason behind this move. We want to deflect this pawn on c4 from this square d5. So black's main idea is now to push somehow the d5 pawn, even if you have to sacrifice some pawns. In the game, c takes b5 was played, and now knight to e5, kicking away the queen, and now queen to d2. d5, very important move. After something like a takes b takes a6, it's not so good because we can simply immediately take here the pawn after knight to e4, knight takes e4, f takes e4. You continuing again the game with the weakness here on e4, and still we can take this pawn in the next move. We could also attack this pawn. Still, there are also some attacking possibilities with knight to g4. It's very dangerous, attacking the bishop, which is the key defender of the knight on d4. So that's why here I think after this move d5, Jeffery Xiong reacted very good with knight to d5. After knight takes d5, we have e takes d5, and now we have a takes b5. This is now really simplified line. Of course, white is a pawn up, but again, here this is the main weakness, and also we have also from black's perspective some powerful attacks maybe possible here through the a file. So nothing is lost, although black is a pawn down, but now black has at least gained some activity with this bishops. This bishop is liberated. This diagonal is very dangerous, so what we want to do is somehow maybe attack the rook, deflect the rook here maybe to the b file or c file, and then attack this a2 weakness. So in the game, rook from a to d1 was played, and now b4 played by JOrden van Foreest. Also a very important move. Basically taking here is not possible because simply rook takes a2 is the continuation. Now you're continuing again with two weaknesses, with the weakness on b3 and d5. So that's why in the game, queen to e2 was played by Jeffery Xiong, and I think it wasn't the best move. There are maybe better moves like knight to e2, immediately protecting this pawn, because you want to hang on to your pawns in this particular position. But the funny thing is that after the move queen to e2, JOrden van Foreest also made a mistake. He played the move rook to c3. And this is now a problem, because here we have bishop to f2, or even knight to b5 is the possibility, but the better way is to proceed here bishop to f6. The reason behind this move is if you can continue with h3, but if the queen takes now on d5, after something like h3, we can take with the move with the queen to d5, and this knight on f5 idea is not so dangerous because we have simply queen to a5, and this pawn on e7 is protected. So if you take immediately, let's for instance see if what happens if you take queen to d5 immediately, then you get knight to f5. It's very dangerous. After queen to e6, we can take now this very important dark square bishop. After king to g7, we have bishop to d4, and this is very tricky because after f6 we could also try f4. Still nothing is lost for black. Black can try queen to g4, but now queen to f2 is very tricky. You have to remove the knight somewhere, maybe even to maybe c6, but now we could try maybe bishop to a1, and this bishop is really a powerful bishop. Now you don't have any more the protection of the dark square bishop, so I think this is a favorable continuation for white. So as said, rook to c3 was played, and now it leaves the opportunity for Jeffery Xiong to improve the position of the bishop to f2, and now bishop to f6, but it's a little bit too late now. Now knight to b5, kicking away the rook, and the rook has to retreat to c8, and here we have a very powerful move, d6. So now of course you don't want to take, because knight takes d6 is very dangerous. We have several tactical possibilities. Even bishop to d4 or bishop to c5 is the opportunity maybe to attack even this b4 pawn. So many possibilities, but in the game here Jordan van Foreest tried to counter-attack the knight, and here Jeffery Xiong finds a very active move, knight to c7. After e takes d6 we have knight to d5, and it's a great positional game by Jeffery here, improving the position of the knight. It doesn't matter that we lost here the pawn, but the more important thing is that these are two pawn islands, these are weak pawns. That's the main difference, and the bishop is now attacked. We have several possibilities to create maybe some dangerous attack through the d file. Rook to d1, d2, then followed with rook to d1, bishop to g3 is the possibility. Many attacking possibilities here for white, and the best next moves I think are really easy to find. In the game bishop to d8 was played by Jordan van Foreest, and there is one problem about this move, because now we have f4, kicking away the knight. Knight to g4 was played, bishop to d4. Now the pieces are really on the best squares. The main idea is now to proceed with move h3, and maybe knight to f6 is really tempting here for white. So rook to b5, attacking the knight, and now queen to f3, protecting this very powerful knight, because we want to hang on to this knight. This knight is very centralized, it's very powerful, so you don't want to retreat with your powerful piece. In the game queen to f5 was played, and here Jeffery Xiong finds a very cool move, a counter-attack, rook to e1, because taking is not possible here with the queen, because you get checkmated on e8. So that's why here bishop to h4 was played, somehow bringing the rook into the game, but it's a mistake, because here we have first the possibility to play bishop to b2. Now everything is protected. Still we're continuing the game with this powerful setup of pieces. The knight is on the best square, the bishop is on the best square, the queen is on a very active square, the rooks are on very powerful files. So that's why here bishop to b2, again a great counter attack by Jeffery Xiong. Here you cannot take, of course, the rook, because you get knight to e7, the fork on the king and the queen. So that's why here bishop to f2 was played, a counter attack. But after king to h1, here bishop to h4, you have to retreat with the bishop. But now it's basically game over, because we have the move g3. The problem is you don't have any squares for the bishop. Bishop to g5 is not possible. Bishop to f6 is also not possible, because we can also again take here bishop takes f6. After knight takes f6 we have again this fork on e7. So bishop to e7 is also not possible. Bishop to d8, again with the same idea, rook to e8 is immediately losing. So that's why here knight to f2 was played by Jordan van Foreest, but not a problem. We can simply take rook takes d5, bishop pardon me, g takes h4, and now rook takes d1. Rook from e takes the rook on d1, and now rook to c2, not a problem, because we have this counter attack, queen to d4, and we are immediately creating this checkmate threat. f6 was played, and now rook to c1, and in this position Jordan van Foreest resigned, because whatever you do, you have to trade off basically the rooks, and now white is going into a favorable endgame. We are up a whole piece, and this is of course completely losing for black. Okay, let's go back. I really like this opening preparations with this move. After the move bishop to b5, bishop to d7, taking out, and now going into this very powerful Maroczy bind with the preparation to play d4, knight to c3, bishop to e3, castling. Very natural moves, and a great game played by Jeffery Xiong. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it was really instructive. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess games from the series, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.